Hey, what's up everyone? It's George here, the remote seller. Today I just want to do a short one and talk about the buy box. So there are a few misconceptions out there, wanted to clear those things up. Okay, so what we're actually going to discuss today. So we're going to discuss what the actual buy box is, how it rotates between the sellers, what factors determine who will actually get the buy box, why sometimes it's actually empty, there is no one in the actual buy box, and then what you can do as a seller to get a larger percentage of the actual buy box. So what is the buy box? When you look at a typical listing, towards the right of the actual page, there's a box right there. Now there is a lot of information, but the three key points is there is a seller name, there is a price, which the seller is actually offering this product at, and there's an add to cart feature. Okay. Now there can only really be only one seller in the buy box at any given time. Amazon basically rotates the sellers through there. Now, a typical listing might have many sellers. It could have only one, but it could have 5 sellers, it could have 10, it could even have 50 sellers, okay? But only at any one given time, there can only be one seller within the buy box, okay? Amazon rotates these sellers based on certain factors in and out of the buy box. So at 1 second, it might be seller ABC. You might click on the listing again or refresh the listing half an hour later, and then it will be seller XYZ, for example, okay? Now, exactly how the buy box rotates is an Amazon secret. We don't know 100% exactly how it happens, but there are a few obvious factors, okay? Now, before I discuss them with you, you got to look at things from Amazon's point of view. So as a company, what does Amazon want to do? They want to offer buyers the best products at the cheapest price and very quick shipping times. That's their main goal, to offer those things to the customers so they can achieve the best and most favorable customer experience, okay? So Amazon really considers FBA sellers over FBM sellers in most instances. If you want to have a better understanding on FBA and FBM, check out these 2 videos over here. But FBA, meaning when it's fulfilled by Amazon, means that there's shorter shipping times and the products get to the customers a lot quicker. So Amazon really considers those sellers above FBM sellers more often, okay? Now, if an FBM seller is prime, has gone into the category of prime, then they are almost considered as good as FBA sellers in that instance. Other times when FBM sellers get a bit of a preference is during difficult times. For example, during the pandemic, FBM sellers got a boost and they were getting more, a larger percentage of the buy box. And also a lot of times because during Christmas or during the holiday periods, because there's so much traffic at the Amazon warehouses, FBM sellers get a bit of a boost at that period as well. So in many circumstances, an FBM seller will need to be priced a bit lower than an FBA seller to be able to win the buy box off of the FBA seller. So that actually leads us to the next point, which is price, okay? So let's, for example, say that there are 5 FBA or 4, let's say 4 FBA sellers on a listing and they're all priced at $30. Okay, now seller number 5 jumps on the listing and instead of pricing the product at $30, decides to price it at $25, okay? More often than not, this new seller that just jumped on the listing will pretty much dominate the buy box and pretty much take the sales off of the other sellers because they price so much lower. They're offering more value for the money, and Amazon sees that and they'll prefer to place them in the buy box over the other 4 sellers which are priced at $30. Okay, so price is one of the biggest determining factors of who gets a larger percentage of the buy box. Now, following that, let's just assume that those other 4 sellers, which were undercut by the new seller, decide to drop their price to $25 to match the seller who initially dropped the price to $25. Then, what would likely happen is an even rotation between all 5 sellers. But there are some more determining factors which pretty much kind of allocate which percentage of the actual buy box these sellers will get. So when sellers are evenly priced, then some other things come into play. So one of them is reviews. So if one seller, for example, had 100,000 reviews and another seller had only 1 review, the seller with 100,000 reviews will get the buy box more often than not, okay? After that is seller ratings. So if a seller had 80% positive and they were up against another seller which had 99 or 100% positive, then the one with 99 or 100% will probably get a bit of a larger share of that buy box. One of the other factors, which is actually quite a big one, is seller stock and its proximity to the buyer. Okay, so consider this just as an example. Let's say we have a seller whose stock is located in New York and a seller whose stock is located in Los Angeles. Okay, now the seller in New York is priced at $31 on this. This is all on the same listing, of course, and the seller that's in Los Angeles, their stock is priced at $29. Now, for most people, the seller who's priced at $29, they're the ones that are going to appear in the buy box. But a buyer that's in New York, due to the proximity of the actual stock, Amazon knows that the stock will arrive at their residence a lot faster than the stock that's in Los Angeles. So they will actually promote to those people the seller whose stock is located in New York, even though it's a touch more expensive. So that's kind of the way that operates. You can actually try this experiment for yourself. Go to a typical listing with many sellers priced at different their products are priced at different price points, and adjust the address. You might see the actual seller adjust, and you might see different prices come into play. So that's a very interesting thing you can actually do at home right now. So there are two more points that I forgot to mention when I first shot this video. So another thing that might help you in the buy box is having more stock than the other sellers. So if one seller, for example, has 500 units in stock and the other seller has 5 or 10, Amazon tends to give the buy box a bit more to the seller with a lot more stock. Another thing that determines if someone gets the buy box is shipping dates. So you might see one seller at $20 and then see another seller at $15, but the seller that's at $20 has the buy box. Notice the date the actual stock or the product arrives. Okay, there might be a huge difference. So the seller that has their price at $15 in this instance, their date might be a week or 2 weeks after the seller that's actually in the buy box. So the actual date the items arrive to the buyer makes a difference as well. So you might come across a listing and you might see no one at all in the buy box. Okay, so why does this happen? The first reason why this might happen is because there is actually no seller offering this product at the moment. So there are no sellers offering the product. It's completely unavailable. So obviously no one's going to be in the buy box. But if there are sellers available and there's no one in the buy box, the reason why this happened is because the people that are currently offering this product are priced too high. And they're not just priced too high in general. It means that they're priced too high considering this product's past history. So Amazon will look over maybe the last month or 2 months and look at the average buy box price, the average price that this product is actually being offered at by the sellers. So if on average this product has been priced at $20 and all of a sudden they all sell out and the next person that's offering the product is at $40, Amazon sees this as someone's overpricing the item and due to, for example, they're trying to take advantage of the buyer or something like that. So they don't see that being a reasonable price. So they decide not to put anyone in the buy box in this instance, just to avoid customers' dissatisfaction basically. So no one's priced in. But if, for example, more people decide to price it at $40, as time goes by, that becomes the new average. So Amazon will then consider that $40 price point as the new buy box. So that's why you might look at a keeper chart, and obviously the purple line is the buy box line. You might see gaps, and then all of a sudden you'll see it at a later date, and it actually appears. So you might see no one in the buy box, and at a later date, a month later, for example, at a much higher price point than the previous one, it appears. That's because the average offer price change and Amazon consider that they're okay for the buy box now. So what are a few of the things that you can do to get a larger percentage of the buy box? So one is be FBA as opposed to FBM. FBA sellers more often than not get a larger percentage of the buy box. Of course, when warehouses are overflowing, they're backed up and they're very busy, FBM sellers do tend to get a bit of a boost, like what happened during the pandemic and what tends to occur sometimes, during Christmas and these holiday periods where things get a lot busier at the warehouses. But more often than not, FBA sellers dominate the buy box over FBM sellers. So one is FBA over FBM. Next is pricing. When you can have the lowest price, you will win the buy box off other people more often than not. Okay. Now, obviously, undercutting is not. It gets very annoying when people undercut you. So really try to do as much product research before buying a product, so you can avoid, it coming out to a loss. If you want to learn more about product research, check out this video over here. that one, I'll go real deep into product research and determining how to buy profitable products. Then another thing which you should definitely consider is getting as few negative reviews as possible and removing any reviews that come up. So you might get a negative review, as an FBA seller, someone might say, hey, this product arrived broken. Okay, that you can actually remove. You can go into your seller feedback section and request for that particular review to be removed, because it was technically Amazon's responsibility to get the product there undamaged. Okay, so you remove any negative reviews, have your account as clean as possible, and you'll get, again, a larger percentage of the buy box as opposed to someone with more negative reviews than you. I hope this video gave you a better understanding of how the buy box works and how you can win it more often. Okay, if there's any topics you want me to cover in a future video, leave me a comment below. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.